Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you today a very special guest coming all the way from Russia, Ivan Petrovich Pavlov. Mr. Pavlov, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, thank you.
It is an honor. Please, tell me, did you always know you were going to be a psychologist?
Well, funny you ask. As a young lad, my father was a priest, so I was expected to take after him. But after attending seminary school for just a short while, I realized that wasn't for me. So I switched over to physics and science.
Was your father disappointed in the switch?
Not so much into the switch of science, but wasn't very happy that I converted to atheism.
Well, I guess that's good, especially since you became such a profound name in the study of psychology. Tell me, what were some of your greatest accomplishments?
Well, I don't want to brag, but I did invent fistulas, which are placed inside of organs, so that you observe the functions of the organs in normal conditions. Even though many think of me as a psychologist, I'm actually the father of physiology, since I found that the nervous system dominates the digestive system.
So you're not full of crap?
No, I actually focused on saliva. Have you ever heard of Pavlov's dogs?
I think I've heard of them. I'm guessing you are the Pavlov that we're talking about?
Yes, well, yes I am. Well, we always had dogs in our labs, and I noticed that whenever I walked into the lab, the dogs would salivate. I didn't know why until I realized that people were feeding the dogs or lab coats just like me.
So, let me just get this straight. When the dogs saw people feed them, and they were wearing the lab coats, they recognized that the lab coats were feeding them, so when they saw your lab coat, they thought they were going to get food?
Exactly. So I decided to see if I can condition the dogs under some other stimulus, so that I would further enhance the behavioral side of our psychology.
What else did you try and train them with?
Well, in some households, people are called to dinner by a bell. So I thought that I would create a stimulus of a bell for the dog. And whenever I would ring the bell, the dog would expect food.
Interesting.
Yes, it was. I was able to create a conditional reflex for an organism. This showed that repeated behavior could affect the mind, cerebral cortex in particular, and could still create an emotional or physical response.
So you're telling me that you're able to create a response to some random stimuli for everything and everyone?
Basically, yes. Everyone actually has a Pavlovian response in them. Whether that response is good or bad depends on the stimuli. A certain stimuli could be a smell or a movement, and it could create happiness or anger in a person.
Well, all the stuff you've said is all well and good, and I'm sure you have accomplished a lot. You've told me a lot about it, but this was back 100 years ago. How does this still relate to today?
Well, my studies basically paved the way for other behaviors like B.F. Skinner and John B. Watson. And in my further studies of these behavioral sides of psychology, I saw that you can create classical conditioning, especially in my Pavlov dog experiment. And it showed that with certain stimuli, organisms can react in a different way.
Wow, that's very, very impressive. Well, I'm afraid we're out of time, but thank you very much for joining us. It's been an honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, who let the dogs out?
Who let the dogs out?